All right. So welcome to, we are on week three, right? Module 152, week three class meeting. We are really getting into some ICD-10, right? Learning some good stuff. We have Miss Marsha with us today, and I think she wanted to say something to us. So go ahead, Marsha.
Well, my name is Marsha Gallagher. For those that don't know me, some of you already do. And I am the program chair for medical billing and coding. And I want to talk to you a little bit today about assignments and module ending and things of that nature. And I am not pointing my fingers at anybody in the class. So don't give me evil eyes or, because this is something I'm sharing all the way across the board. I don't know if any of you wait to the last minute or the end of the module to get caught up on assignments, but that is not going to be happening anymore. And I'm going to tell you why. We don't want you to fail, but if we continue to reopen assignments 3 or 4 weeks after they're due, we're teaching you that late work is appropriate. And when you guys, one of our jobs is to make you career ready, not just job ready, career ready. And again, I'm not saying that anybody on this Zoom is doing that, but we want to put a new system in place where if you miss an assignment and you want to make it up, don't wait 3 weeks to do it. Let Miss Brandy know we're more than happy. But what we won't be doing is that you have a 30-day module and we get to the 30 days and all you've done is daily assignments and have to reopen all the labs and all the exams. We just can't do that. It's too difficult. We have so many things we're responsible for at the end of a module that we need you guys to fulfill your obligation, which is to take care of your assignments before they're due. Hi, Julia. Oh, Julia's got somebody else just came on. Who was it? Oh, Claire. Hi, Claire. So what we're going to ask is that you fulfill the expectation of doing your assignments weekly or daily and having them in before the due date. If you're sick, if something happens, if there's an emergency, reach out to your instructor and let her know. Blindly opening all these assignments that we're doing, it's not good for you. It forms a bad habit. And if you're not doing that, this is not for you. If you're not doing that and you're doing your best, and I know most of you are, I'm proud of you. Congratulations. Miss Brandy brags on you guys constantly. So, and I've gotten to know some of you in the NCCT classes, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So, any questions about that?
And when she says weekly, y'all, that remember, you have until Sunday at 11:55. Nothing closes till then. And y'all know, like I say, if y'all got something going on and get with me ahead of time, that's a different circumstance. Okay, that's good communication, and we can work with that. But it's the few that we have that we're having to call and text and email several times a week to see, number one, are you going to do anything this week? And number two, no, you're going to wait till the end of the module and it's going to take me half an hour a day to reopen everything for you. And that's not fair. Like Ms. Marsha was saying, that sets a bad habit for you guys, because let me tell you what, when you go to work and your boss says, I need you to get through these claims by 5 o'clock today, you better get through the claims by 5 o'clock or have a dang good reason why you didn't. They're not, oh, well, you can do that tomorrow. That's fine. Usually that's not the case. If they want certain claims worked at a certain time, you need to be on top of it. So, and it's kind of the same way with your schoolwork. We're trying to get y'all ready and in those good habits, because we don't want to just get you a job, guys. We want you to get the job and then keep it and then turn it into a career and get promotions and get raises, make your money, honey.
And then take us out to a fancy lunch.
There you go. Yeah. And take Miss Brandy out to dinner. Make your money. And being a great employee is a prime way to do that. Make yourself an asset and valuable to your company that you work for, whoever that is, whoever that turns out to be.
Well, thank you for listening to me, guys, and not giving me too many laser beams. And being
And y'all,
understanding.
that was,
I'm late, Miss
that was the first,
Brandy.
that was the first time that I've heard that news too. So that's a new change, for me as well. So thank you for-
Accountability. How many times do you guys hear accountability in your life? I mean, Dr. Phil says it like 500 times every episode. So, but it's true. We all have to be accountable. And guess who's accountable if you fail a module or she has to text or ask me, hey, can I open up all these assignments? Miss Brandy's held accountable because you're not being accountable. We are held accountable for every day that you're absent, every assignment you don't turn in, any module that you fail, or if you drop the program. It's a big deal for us. And so it's not just because it doesn't just affect you, it affects us too.
And y'all, and when we say that the higher ups, the directors of education and the program chair and things, they get in and they look at the grade book and they see who's not doing what, and then they come to me and they say, hey, have you reached out to this person? Yes, I have. Do you know what's going on with them? No, I don't. Or, and if I don't know what's going on with y'all, either number one, I didn't do my job and I dropped the ball. Or number two, you dropped the ball and are not communicating back with me.
Yeah, I'm the grade book Nazi, sorry.
She is. But that's okay. That's part of her job responsibilities as our program chair. That, and she's doing her job, and her part of her job is holding me accountable, and part of my job is holding y'all accountable. So say la vie. Thank you, Marcia. Okay. Let's see, we've had a couple more pop on. So guys, type your names in the chat so I can get you for attendance. And we are going to hop into, I know you guys have noticed it's not often, and I try not to do it, have a Zoom and an exam on the same day because we haven't gotten to review a lot for chapter 3. We're gonna do a fair amount in chapter 3 in ICD-10 today, going through the first section of the book. I've got a short presentation, and I hope y'all have your manuals handy so that y'all can follow along with me because there's some things I want y'all to look at. And I have decided and looked into it now, I am going to get a document camera so that I can set it up above my book and y'all can see and I can point to things and it'll be helpful. I think it'll be really beneficial to our learning process.
Brandy, don't get one that you have to put your book on a base and
Okay.
the camera looks over because our books are so big
Right.
that it knocks the camera over.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Been there,
Thank
done
you.
that, dealing with it right now.
Send me a link to the one that you have.
No, it's the one with the base on it.
Oh,
with
never mind then.
yeah, don't get
I was
that.
like, well, you got a good one. Okay. So I think that'll help us out as far as showing y'all things. Today in my presentation, I took some pictures of certain pages that we're going to be talking about and looking at. So I am going to share my screen and we'll get into that. Okay. Can you guys see my little presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome sauce. All right, so I'm going to primarily cover chapter 3, even though you guys are going to be starting chapter 4 tomorrow, working on it Monday, and then your exam for 4 is going to be on Tuesday. I'm going to primarily cover chapter 3, but I am going to hit on things that y'all are going to see in chapter 4 as well. Okay. So let's see. I've been getting a lot of questions about where to begin with your ICD-10 manual. Okay. And the first thing, I hope you guys watched the video that Miss Peggy had done on labeling your manual. She does a great job and gives some great pointers. And I took a picture of how mine is set up. I do it a little bit differently than Peggy does. I actually write out what the chapter content is on my tabs. And I start out, you can see there's one tab and then there's a big thick section. That big thick gray section is the alphabetic index. It's just big. It's just big. And then I have my what says table of neoplasms. Okay. And basically what I did was I started from page number 1, and that's where I want you guys to start. Actually, before page number 1, I think it's page VI is where I want you to start with your labels, and this is why.
I have a question.
Sure.
Where did you get those tabs?
I think I got these at like Walmart, but I posted a link under Miss Peggy.
They have some in the book though.
In the
In the
CPT,
ICD-10 book?
in the CPT, but not in the ICD-10.
Okay.
Yeah, in the CPT book.
Yeah, in the CPT book, there are some labels, but I like to get these because I can write on them, remove them, reuse them,
Yeah.
and all that. And they were like $3. But I posted the link for Amazon, where you can order them on Amazon Prime, in the coding resources page. It's there under the video with a picture. So you can get them there. I think you can get them at the Dollar Tree, Walmart, anywhere almost. Anywhere that has a little office supply section. Usually you can find those. But this is the page I want y'all to start with, page VI. And the reason why is because, you know, when you're looking at the codes and you're seeing all these little symbols and things that are highlighted and things, and you're just like, what does all this mean? It's all right here in the book at the very beginning. I think it's, like I said, I think it's page VI, and it starts and it shows you what every single little symbol that you're going to see in this book is. And it is totally okay. I still do it, to be looking, trying to find a code, look at it and go, I can't remember what this symbol means. Flip back to the beginning of the book and see what it means. Okay. And that'll give you some direction as to where to go. You can always reference back, guys, and that's what it's for. That's why it's there, to tell you how to use it, to tell you what you can do and what you can't do, what you can code first, what you can't, what you need an additional code for. Okay,
Miss Brandy, may I say something?
absolutely.
I always tell my students the red dot is a stop sign.
Yeah,
Means stop. You cannot code this code. You have to move down and get extra information.
that's right. That's right. The way I explained it to them was just like you did. That red dot is a stop sign. You stop because you cannot code that. You have to look further. You have to look deeper. Look at what indents down. But if you ever forget what that means, guys, it is right there in the front of the book for you. Okay. Another tip I can give you is to stagger your labels so you can see them, so they're all in a line. That helps me out so much in keeping it easy to view and easy to find. I can find stuff really quickly in my ICD-10 manual. Okay. And I also want you to keep in mind that there is no right or wrong way. See, Miss Marcia, yeah, hers is set up very similar to mine. Staggered, and it makes it nice and neat and easy to, like I said, easy to work with. There is no right or wrong way. It's totally your personal preference. There are some coders, and to be honest with you, I don't know many that don't tab their book because it's a huge book. Why look through all that? Why waste that kind of time? We don't have that kind of time to waste. But you are gonna put tabs and you are gonna move them many times and put yourself extra tabs so that you can mark your place when you're working on something specific. At least 2 or 3, at least 2 or 3 extras, because I always mark in the alphabetic index where I found it, and then I mark in the tabular where I found it. And then I may need to switch a couple pages forward to look at the guidelines, right? To check the guidelines on that code to make sure I'm doing it right. So that's where I want you to start, is at the very, very beginning, before page 1. All right, so stuff is out of order. There we go. Okay, so one of the big things we're going to talk about today, something I want to make sure that you guys are really comfortable with and really understand really well, is first listed diagnosis. And there's so many reasons why this is important. Number 1, If you do not have the correct code listed first, your claim is going to get rejected every time. And there's certain codes that you cannot, no matter what you do, no matter what's going on, code first. And it'll get rejected every single time. So your first listed diagnosis is really important. And some things to keep in mind when you're trying to figure out what is that first listed diagnosis, whether you're working off of a medical chart or a scenario in your chapter exercises, whichever, the first thing you're gonna look for is a chief complaint. Why is your patient there? What are they being seen for that day? Okay. And y'all know it could be any number of things. Maybe they have the flu. Maybe they are being seen because they need to check up for their diabetes. Maybe they sprain their ankle. Whatever it is, there's generally a reason. Okay. And the chief complaint is going to be whatever injury, illness, symptom is wrong with them at that time and has brought them into the doctor. Okay. Remember that your first listed diagnosis is not always going to be a specific disease or illness. It could be a symptom of something that's not diagnosed yet, right? It could be a fever or a cough, whatever the case may be. It could be any symptom for something that's not diagnosed. And in some cases, even when it's diagnosed in the same visit, you're still going to put the symptom that brought them in there first. Okay.
Miss Brandy, I'm sorry, before you move on, I have to go. I have another Zoom.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt your
you're good.
lecture. I want to say I need a copy of this slideshow because it is beautiful.
Thank you. Wait till you see the rest of it.
Oh yeah,
I'll email it to
send me
you.
the link. Yeah, email it to me. Bye, ladies. Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye, Marcia. Okay. So, and also your patient may be there without a chief complaint, okay, such as for a physical or a vaccination, a counseling for something, any of those types of things. You're not going to have a chief complaint or an illness. It's going to be considered an encounter, right? Right. Okay. So, that's about first listed diagnosis. So I want to do some quick practices to make sure that you guys have a firm grasp on this and you guys are comfortable with it. Okay. So I'm going to read these out and y'all can come off of mute and tell me what is going to be or what you think is going to be the first listed diagnosis. Okay. And our first one, 40-year-old female sees the doctor for a burning pain in her pinky toe. Patient has a history of diabetes. What do we think is going to be the first
Pain
listed
in her toe.
Pain.
Burning pain.
Everybody in
Burning
agreement?
pain in the pinky too.
Pain in her pinky toe. Y'all know where I got that from? I was trying to come up with these, and is it Harlem Nights where a woman shoots him in her pinky toe?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Pinky toe. So pinky toe has been stuck in my head for a minute. But yes, y'all are correct. Even though she has a history of diabetes, and that may be, in fact, I'm pretty sure if this were in there with a burning pain in her foot, being a diabetic, they're definitely going to list the history of diabetes in there because that's pertinent, right? That's pertinent to her pain in her feet. That's probably a clear indicator that this patient has diabetic neuropathy in her feet. So just bear that in mind. But yes, the pain is going to be your first listed diagnosis. All right, so our next one, 19-year-old male presents for blood in urine and painful urination. That sounds uncomfortable.
Blood
The blood in the urine.
and
Pain
painful.
for
And
urination.
pain.
It could be either, you could put either or first.
Yeah.
Either one. Both are symptoms of probably a urinary tract infection or either an STI. One of the two. Yeah,
Possible.
the blood and pain are going to be either one of those can go first. And you definitely are going to list both of them.
Yeah.
Definitely list both of them. All right. So number 3, 35-year-old male visits the doctor because he believes he was exposed to monkeypox.
You don't have one.
It'd be an encounter, wouldn't it?
It's going to be an encounter. He believes he was exposed to monkeypox, so he wants to get tested. He wants to get screened for it, right? To make sure that he does. He thinks he was exposed. He
How would
wants to prevent it, right?
How would you code an encounter for monkeypox? Would it just be like an encounter for, like,
Well,
I mean, does monkeypox have a code, being that it's fairly new?
monkeypox does have a diagnosis code that was approved about a month and a half ago. It's actually B04 is the code for it. I don't think it's in the manual though. But we're gonna take number 3 and kind of run with it. So that your question actually leads me into my next slide, which is Z codes, because that encounter is going to be a Z code, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. So your Z codes, they can be first listed or supplemental, right? Some of them have to be first listed. Some of them have to be supplemental. Okay. So one of the questions is it pertinent to the care being covered or being provided? If they're in there for a UTI or a sprained ankle and they have a history of cancer, one doesn't have anything to do with the other, most likely. So you're not going to worry about the history of cancer because it's not pertinent to this visit. It's not pertinent to a sprained ankle, right? Hopefully. So you always want to check if it's pertinent to the care being provided. And always remember that your Z codes can be used anywhere, everywhere, all health settings. Take advantage of Z codes. And some of the things that they can indicate would be a history of either illness, anything like that, any type of history, exposure or contact to certain disease or environmental factors, circumstances that affect care, and that could include living in an abusive household, living in a situation of abuse or neglect, where they're malnourished or something like that. That's going to affect the care that the provider can give. So there are Z codes for all these different things. All right. An encounter, not related, that's not a disease or an injury. Like this one, number 3. It's not related to anything that he actually has, but he thinks he's been exposed, right? And then they can also indicate status, which is like I talked about in the video, if they're awaiting transplant. There are certain drugs that you don't want to give them if they're awaiting transplant. So you need to code it so that someone knows this person is awaiting transplant. So there's certain rules that you can't, certain things don't get messed up along the way. And there's a lot of different statuses like that for machine dependence, prosthetics, allergy, allergy statuses. What was the one? Bed confinement, wheelchair confinement. These are all things that are pertinent to care. So there's a Z code for all of them. One thing that I had asked in the video for you guys to do was look up in the alphabetic index the word encounter. Who did that? If you didn't, it's okay. Just be honest with me, but who did it?
I did.
You did it? Awesome sauce.
Yeah.
Did you notice that like almost every code in there was a Z code?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but I hate coding it.
I know, girl. I know. It's nobody's favorite thing, but it goes to show y'all almost anything that's going to be an encounter, and that's a keyword, is probably going to be a Z code. So you can skip straight to chapter 21 if you're getting, if you're not sure about what you're coding. Because we're not doctors, right? We don't know every piece of medical terminology that's out there. We just got to make sense of what we're given. Okay, so for those of y'all that didn't look up encounter, Okay, and in your alphabetic index is gonna list. And that's where you start. All right, you have your alphabetic index, and then right behind that, you have the table of neoplasms, your table of drugs and chemicals, and your external causes index. And those are where you're gonna start. And 99% of the time, you're gonna start with this alphabetic index. And if you need to be in the table of drugs, or you need to be in the table of neoplasms, that this will guide you there. The alphabetic index is gonna guide you to where you need to go, okay? So carrying on with our number 3 practice problem, he thinks he's exposed to monkeypox and he wants to get screened for it, right? So where are we gonna start with that in our alphabetic index? Where do y'all think we're gonna start? To find what needs to be our first listed diagnosis.
Uh,
I didn't
Hold
hear
up.
the question, Miss B.
Which guy?
I didn't hear the question.
Oh, where are we gonna, like, let's follow on with scenario number 3, the guy that thinks he's been exposed to monkeypox and he wants to get screened for it. That's his reason for visiting today. He thinks he's been exposed. So where do we start in our alphabetic index? Where do you think we're gonna start? To find our
Encounter?
first visit? Huh?
Encounters?
You can start with encounter, yes.
How about screening?
You could start with screening as well. And as a matter of fact, if you go to encounter and you read down the list and you get to screening, it says see screening. So see, guys, even if you start real broad, it's going to help you narrow down. The book is
Mhm.
going to tell you where to go. So if we start at encounter, you find screening, and then it says see screening. And if you look, I've got a picture here of the screening, where that is in your ICD-10, and that's on page 421. Go ahead and go look at that. It's in the 3rd column on page 421, and it's kind of towards the top. And I've got a picture of it here too. So reading under screening there, where do you think we're gonna go next? Which one of these under screening you think fits our scenario best? Our guy that has monkeypox.
I think the exposure, if you would, you
It's not
can do
really contaminant.
exposure, but
And this is where it comes in handy. Okay, if I were brand new to coding and brand new to this job, the way I would go with this, I would be like, what exactly is monkeypox? I know it's a disease, but what kind of disease is it? So I would Google search that and find out that it's a viral disease.
yeah.
You know what I did? You said it's measles or monkeypox?
Monkeypox. But measles are it's a very close, they're both viral infections. So that they're close. But monkeypox, let's work with monkeypox because that's kind of all over the news right now and really, really relevant to what's going on in the world.
Would it be Z13?
That Z13.6 there, that's vascular.
Z13.89.
No. That's elevated titer. I don't know. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you.
That says skin.
Where do you see skin? Z13.
I'm looking under
skin. You could look there.
It
But
says screening.
It's not a disease of the skin though.
Oh.
It's not a disease of the skin. See, we're looking under diseases and disorders. And like flesh-eating disease, a bacterial flesh-eating disease would be probably listed in that skin section. But where I would go,
That's what I thought.
if you look, I would Google search monkeypox and find out that it's a viral infection and find out what type of disease it is. It's viral. And then I would find viral under disease.
Or maybe even Z1388 exposure to, well, no.
Keep going down.
So you said go to diseases and then viral and then monkeypox?
Because there's
Okay.
many things that you can get screenings for, right? Not just diseases and stuff. So screenings is
Can't see past that. I'm looking at your screen
Mm-hmm.
because I'm at work and I don't have my book, so I can't see past yellow Z1159.
You don't need to
I
look
can't-
past that.
Is
The
it
answer is right there.
Oh, it's the
Z11?
one before.
I've said it like 3
Z11?
times. It's a viral infection.
Z11?
Z1159. Yeah.
Okay.
You got to, once you, all right, so like with monkeypox, we know that we're working with a disease, right? That's a disease, an illness. Okay. And it's a screening. So we're going to go screening, and then we're going to go down that first. You see the line, you see there's a dark line, and then screening is in red. And then you have another line, a lighter line. You're going to go down that first line until you find the screening that's going to fit what you're doing. And we're doing a disease screening, right? An illness screening. Okay. So disease and disorder is the section that we want to go through all of those little options on the next indentation down. And you see there's respiratory, rheumatic. You're going to find the one that fits what you're working with. And we're working with monkeypox, which is a viral infection. So I would look down under disease and see viral. And then you can see under viral, it indents down again to get a little more specific. Okay, coronavirus, HIV, intestinal, and SARS. Well, we're not dealing with coronavirus. We're not dealing with HIV, and we're not dealing with SARS. So I guess I'm going to go to viral NEC, not elsewhere classified. Right?
Until
NEC,
they add monkeypox to the book.
which will be next year. I guarantee you it'll be in there next year. Why's my camera all funny? That's better. Okay. Yeah, so where I would go is I would go to viral NEC because none of these under here fit what I'm working with, right? So that's Z11.59. So now I found it in my alphabetic index. What do I do next?
Go to the tabular list.
I go to the tabular list
Verify.
and I verify that that's going to be the correct code,
Yep.
right? So that is page 1625 in chapter 21, your Z code chapter. And I hope that y'all have noticed that chapter 1, the codes start with A, chapter 2, the codes start with B, and so on and so forth in alphabetical order. That's an easy way to get through that book when you have a code, when you're kind of trying to look at it backwards. You have a code and you kind of need to know what it means or whatever. That's how you find those quickly. Okay. All right. So Z11.59 is what it says. Encounter for screening for other viral diseases. And I think, yeah, it doesn't indent down any further than that. I can't use the Z11.5 because the little stop sign, right? So encounter for screening for other viral diseases. That looks like it would be the correct code, right?
Yeah.
We sure? What's this little blue dot right here mean? It's got this little blue dot. Anybody know what that means?
Unacceptable principal diagnosis.
Unacceptable principal diagnosis. So I can't use this as my first listed diagnosis code. according to that blue dot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, crap, what do I do now? Right? And that's why we verify. If we'd have just put Z11.59, it might have come back to us. Okay. So what's our next step? What are we going to do when that's my code I need to use, but it's telling me I can't use my code? What do we need to do next? What do y'all think?
QIP.
Keep reading.
Pretty much. My suggestion is to go to the beginning of that section and look for some guidelines. Look for a green or a purple box that's at the beginning of that section, which I think is like Z11. And see if there are some guidelines that tell us why I can't use this code or what I need to do differently to be able to use this code. And it just so happens I took a picture of it. Okay, so there is at Z11, there's a green box in front of it that gives us some guidelines. And you'll see I kind of roped off one little paragraph. Okay. The testing of a person to rule out or confirm a suspected diagnosis because the patient has some sign or symptom is a diagnostic examination, not a screening. Okay, in these cases, the sign or symptom is used to explain the reason for the test. All right, our next paragraph. A screening code may be a first listed code if the reason for the visit is specifically the screening exam. So what does that tell me? I can use it as my code. I can use it because that screening was the only reason he came to see the doctor. That was it. I don't have
Right.
anything else to attach to that. I've got nothing else to code there. So they'll let me use it. But had he been there for any other reason or had anything else done that day, you cannot use that code as first listed. Does that make sense? But
Yes,
do
ma'am.
y'all see? Do y'all follow how I got to where I am? We'll start our alphabetic index with our keywords. We find our code, and then we go to our tabular, to our chapter. And we pay attention to all those symbols, right? We find our code, and then we gotta decipher everything, the symbols. It includes, excludes, placeholders, all that kind of stuff once we get into the tabular. And we'll go into more detail about that. I really just wanted to talk to y'all today about the beginning of the book and how to get started in coding, where that starting point is. And it's in your alphabetic index, familiarizing yourself with the symbols and where information is. Did you guys, I posted a video on the coding resources page that was a girl that does her YouTube channel is Contempo Coding. And guys, this girl knows her stuff. Like she does. I could not have gone through guidelines any better than what she did in that presentation. She did a really fantastic job. If you've not watched it, definitely go watch it. It's not super long. I want to say it's like 20 minutes or something like that. But she goes through the first section of guidelines in page 1 of the ICD-10 manual. Okay.
What is the name on YouTube?
Contempo Coding. And she has a ton of videos. But I've got it posted on the coding resources page too, Julia.
Okay.
It's there for you if you want to watch it.
Okay.
For easy access, because it is, guys, it is coding gold. And I love the fact that she said something that y'all hear me preach all the time. I love it. She said, do not stress yourself out about trying to memorize codes. Yay! I'm so glad that y'all get to hear that from somebody other than me. 'cause
He hadn't called
it's so
or
true.
canceled, so just mark him absent too.
But yeah, so that's good stuff. I think that was, yeah, that's the end of my presentation for today. Let's
But I
talk a
have
little.
one question, Ms.
What you got?
Brandy, if you don't mind.
Oh,
In the lab for Wednesday's lab, the
mhm.
exercise 3 through 6. I don't have my book with me because I'm at the hospital right now.
Okay,
3 through 6, it was number 1, but it was B. After it gives the code for the abrasion to the upper arm, I had a question about the code for the abrasion. They gave the code, and then it said you have to use additional characters. But when I looked it up and it had the code, I wanted to know where to get letter A from, because I looked at the bottom, read at the bottom, I didn't see. How do you know when you have to use additional characters? Because it doesn't show anything at the bottom.
it is usually either right before, like that green box of guidelines. It's
Mhm.
usually right under that.
Oh, okay.
It's right
Yes,
under.
maybe I didn't
You go
see
to
it.
the beginning of this section and it'll be like A, B, C, D, or E, different ones for different things. And that'll let you indicate, depending on the code, age of patient, first, second, or third time they've had it, different things. It can indicate a
Okay.
whole bunch of different things, but that's where you find those. But there should have been something there that said it needed additional characters or something.
Yeah, and say use additional characters, but I didn't know what I had to use, but
Right.
that's what it was, because it was
You'll go
number
back.
B, and it has the
Any,
abrasion to the upper arm.
anytime, and it's like, you'll have, remember, they only go out to 7, right?
Mhm.
So if you've got one that has one of those additional characters, and then it requires placeholders too, you remember, you could have that code that's whatever XXA or
Mhm.
XXS or XS, depending on the code and how long it is already. You may just
Okay.
have to add the character, or you may have to add an X, depending on how
Okay.
many places that code already holds.
Okay,
We'll get more detailed into that coming
okay,
up too, about
yeah. Kind
placeholders.
of confused about that, the
Yeah,
placeholders, how you know to put an X, do you put the
you're gonna
character before the X or
we're
something
gonna
like
be
that?
hitting that up on our next Zoom. We're gonna
Okay.
get into some big details about placeholders,
Mhm.
and the legends in the tabular
Okay,
and stuff like that and guidelines. We're gonna get heavy into that next Zoom. This Zoom, I wanted to just make sure that y'all had a firm introduction to the
Mhm.
manual and knew where to start. And we're comfortable finding first listed diagnosis and recognizing those keywords.
Okay,
Keywords. Encounter, assault, poisoning, any name of a disease, anything like that is going to be keywords. And y'all will recognize them more and more as you go along. Those of you who have been through coding for the most part, y'all know what I'm talking about. You'll learn to recognize those keywords. And those keywords a lot of time will tell you where to start. Like assault, you're automatically pretty much going to know that you're going to go to the external causes when you see assault. When you see the word poisoning, you're automatically going to go to your table of chemical and drugs. When you see the word cancer, you're going to go to your table of neoplasms. You're going to figure, as you go along, you'll figure out these keywords and how they're going to lead you to where you need to be. And like I said, always say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Just like y'all saw with encounter and screening, you could have started either place and you ended up at the same spot, right? A lot of them are like that. A lot of them are like that. You may start in the wrong place and still be able to end up in the right place. And also something that's really helpful if you're not sure about the content of what you're coding medically, you don't know what something is. At the beginning of each chapter, and also there's even an entire section of it, I think, after the index, the external index of injuries, I think it is, there's a set of anatomical illustrations. And guys, those things can be really helpful when you're trying to figure out what the crap you're reading. Because sometimes it is just that. You read something, you're like, I have no idea what this is. I have no idea, you know. So you start picking out, I always pick out the biggest, craziest word that I don't know what it is. And I look that up. I try to look that up. And it'll give you a starting point. Okay. So don't ever get freaked out if you read something, you're like, I don't know what this is. Just pick a word and start there. And then if you just can't get it, y'all get in touch with me. That this is the time when y'all need to get in touch with me and let me walk with y'all through some of these things if you need the help. I am more than happy to do that. That's how we learn. That's how we learn. So if you need me to do that, do not be afraid to reach out. We will set up in a private Zoom if that's what you want to do. Whatever we need to do, that's what we'll do. Because we're going to be doing coding for the next 3 months, 4 months. It's going to get pretty heavy. For some of y'all, this is it. At the end of the road. And again, I'm so proud and happy for y'all. It's not even funny. But, and I had a bad thing happen. I had my first student. I had to have a conference with my first student, and she got kicked out of the program for academics.
Oh, no.
And me and Marsha had to get on a Zoom with her and tell her that she was no longer in our program because she failed the last 3 modules. And y'all, I cried. She cried. It was heartbreaking. And I don't want that to happen to anybody. And if you get kicked out or removed, I hate to say kicked out, but if you get removed from the program for lack of attendance, which is going that 14 days without doing any coursework, or you fail 3 modules in a row, you get removed and you can't come back for a year. 365 days. That sucks. So good Lord, get with me before that happens. Y'all know I'm easy to work with. I'm really easy to work with. So, and I'm more than happy to do whatever we need to do to make it work and get y'all through this. Y'all know that. So it broke my heart, and that was a sad part of my week. But I want to end this meeting on a positive. So what I'm going to do for all of y'all that want to, I want y'all to give me a positive that you had this week. Work related, family related, TV related. I don't care. Just give me something that made you happy this week, that brought you joy, whatever that might be. Anybody, y'all want me to go first?
I made a C on chapter 3 test, but I want to redo it.
That's a good starting point. And I haven't manually graded your test yet, so I bet it's better than that. So there's
Okay.
your positive. That's not your final grade.
Okay. That's good.
Awesome. Hey,
That was mine. I made 100 on my test,
yes, ma'am, you
but
did.
it marked two, like the answers that we had to put in.
Y'all,
It marked 2 of them wrong, and I was like, but they're right. So I was like, I'm gonna have to let Ms.
Question-
Brandon know.
yeah. And question number 9, I've gone back and had to correct it on some of y'all and give you all the points anyway. One of the true false is how many chapters are in the manual, and they got it wrong. They got it wrong.
And
But she knew her stuff. And I had a comment. I was like, I know this is right. And if they don't consider it a chapter, why is it called a chapter? There's 22 chapters in this manual, y'all, not 21. So even if y'all mark that question, if they don't give you credit for it, I will. Okay. And if y'all find any more like that, definitely bring that to my attention. Because I gotta fix that. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. If you I put one of them a capital letter and it counted it wrong, like I did a cap.
And
instead of-
that's part of me having to go in and manually grade it. It's like capitalization, punctuation, spelling, everything. Anytime there's a short answer or anything, I pretty much have to go in and manually, which is fine. That's fine. It doesn't,
Check mine because it marked a good bit wrong. That was right.
I'll check it. It'll be all right. All right, so who else got a good positive for this week? I've got a great one. Can't wait to tell you mine. Nobody else feels like sharing?
I just found out my oldest daughter is pregnant. But she has a little boy, but now she's gonna have a girl, and that's what she always wanted, a girl.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is like, that's way better than my good news, my positive. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yes, to have a girl. She always wanted a girl because she loved doing hair, loved doing girly things. And she was like, I might just be stuck being a boy's mom. But no, she found out he's a girl.
Girl. Well, Shakira
Yeah,
Iris,
congratulations.
Shakira just found out that she's pregnant.
Yes, y'all. I'm 3 months and I've been having sickness every single day. It's
Oh,
been
bless your heart.
bad.
Yeah.
Yes,
y'all-
the nausea is crazy.
The struggle is real, girl.
Yes,
Struggle's real.
it is. It is.
It is.
Yes,
I
my
miss
daughter
that.
say the same thing. She calls me, she say, Mom, I can't even brush the back of my mouth, my tongue. It's
Yes,
gagging me.
yes. I'm
she said,
I
"Have
remember
gagging.
that.
I taste this bitter
I remember
taste
that.
all day, every day, and it just gags me."
Yeah,
And she's
it's
like,
so hard. I call my mama every day about it.
Y'all want to know something funny? When I was pregnant with Paige, I threw up 2 times. But the first time, God, it was in my husband's lap.
Oh, Lord.
It was like a Sunday morning and we were laying on the couch watching TV and I was laid over in his lap. And at the time, I had a boxer. His name was Patch. He was like 100-pound boxer and old as dirt. So, funky bro. Ugh. And he came and he put his head in my husband's lap right in my face.
Oh,
I was like,
my.
that was all she wrote. It was no good. Oh, it's bad.
Oh,
I was
God.
really blessed. I was really blessed. I did not have a lot of sickness with either of my pregnancies. So God bless y'all,
Lucky.
the babies. And Jerica's pregnant too. Miss
I
Jerica.
just saw that. She said 23 weeks. Huh?
Yeah. Jerica's pregnant too. Cassandra, she's not, I don't think Cassandra's here today, but she has a brand new baby. Miss Deborah, I think, has a brand new baby. There's several of y'all right now with itty bitties. I love itty bitties. So that's awesome. Congratulations on that, all of y'all.
Miss Brandy, I'm gonna have to log off because I have to go right now.
I got you, girl.
All righty.
Just
My
make
husband just
sure you
getting
put
out
your
of,
name in the chat, okay?
yeah, I did. My husband just
Okay.
getting out of surgery, so I have to go.
All right. I've been praying for him, Julia.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetie. Okay, so I'm gonna share my positive real quick before we get off of here. As y'all have heard me talk lots about, last year I had back surgery. And at the same time I had back surgery, I lost my job because I couldn't sit in a chair anymore for 8 hours a day. And 2 weeks after I lost my job, my husband lost his job. And so there we were. Me completely incapacitated. Him had to stay home and take care of me until I had surgery. We had to spend every penny that we had in savings just so I could have the surgery to pay my deductible. So when January came around and I started working at Unitech, I was over $2,000 behind on my rent. I was over $2,000 behind on my car note. $1,400 behind to CLECO. $300 to the water people. It was bad. It was bad. Like there were times last October where we went to the food bank because we had no income. And just everything was going towards my Cobra insurance premium just so I could have this dang surgery. my blessing, my positive, tomorrow, I make my last payment to catch up my car note. A year. It has taken me a year to get back current on my car note. And, but I'm there. I'm there. And
Go ahead, baby. Go
it
ahead. That's the story right now.
took,
Mhm.
Lord, y'all, I've been paying $400 a paycheck. A paycheck. And like I had to do it in stages. Like the first person I had to catch up was my landlord, right? Because you gotta have a roof. So he was the first person that when I started working, I just started piling money towards him as much as I could. And then the next person was my neighbor who had let me put my electric bill on her credit card for several months. I owed her about $700 on her credit card. So that was the next thing I paid off. And then since then, I've been paying off credit cards and loans and piling on the car. And we're finally there with the car. Thankfully, Clico in January, they allowed me to do a 9-month extension where they took the $1,400 and split it up and let me pay $130 over what my normal bill is. And thankfully, I've been blessed enough through the summer with a high electric bill and then extra $130 on top of that. This summer's been rough, but we made our last payment, extra payments, Clico this month as well. So that's my positive. Hell of a positive.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So, and other positive, I will get my first paycheck from my urgent care that I work for. I've been working for them since July the 22nd, and I will get my first paycheck from them this week.
It is September.
I know. I know. But here's the deal. I did not submit. He's been asking me for hours. He's like, you got to submit me your time so I can pay you. And I didn't do it until now. And there's a reason why. They couldn't afford to pay me. They've been having issues keeping the doors open because no money coming in. So we're a couple of months in. I've got money rolling a little better. He got an investor to come in and put a little cash flow in. So I went ahead and submitted some hours and I'll get my paycheck. But I didn't want to, number one, I told him, I was like, if you can't ever pay me, that's okay. I want to help y'all because of the way you helped me. So I never depended on that money. Like, yay, $30 an hour, that's gonna be great, fantastic. But I never started depending on that or expecting it because I didn't know if I could get things straight enough to where they could keep the doors open. But thankfully, things are improving. Things are flowing better now. I've done my job pretty good, I think. And so I went ahead and submitted some hours and I'll be getting a paycheck.
This is a testimony, Miss B. This ain't no positive testimony.
I mean,
Take this to church.
it's life, y'all. It's life. Sometimes life really throws it at you. Like it really does. And you gotta keep your head up. Like last year, when my car was on the verge of repossession and my husband's going to the food bank because by the time I had back surgery, I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't lay down. The only thing I could do was stand and just be still. That was the only way I didn't hurt. So, I mean, life throws it at you. And it was so unexpected. Like one day I was fine and the next day my back was jacked up. Like that was out of the blue. But that's life, guys. It'll try to the devil, not today, Satan, not today. That's what you gotta do. Not today, Satan. You gotta keep your head up.
Yes, indeed. Go ahead, Miss.
Keep your head up. Look towards that next chapter, y'all. That's what you gotta do. And you'll get there. You'll get there. But all right, so we have ended today on a positive. And guys, like I said, if y'all are still uncomfortable with anything, please get with me. Please get with me. It's what I'm here for. It's my job. Okay. But otherwise, you guys have a great
Hey, what kind of test is this gonna be? Is it gonna be multiple choice or
chapter 3 or chapter 4.
the one that's
Today?
today? Mhm.
Today, I am so sorry to say that like the first half of the test is true false. But it's coming straight out of your chapter review and stuff. But the first like 10, maybe 9 or 10 are true false.
Okay.
There's a couple of multiple choice, and then there's a few where it's going to ask you to go into your manual and find things.
Okay.
And then there's of course that bonus question because true false just sucks. But guys, take a guess. It kills me when y'all just don't even guess, because even if y'all,
That's
like,
good.
I can give you partial credit every point. You know what I'm saying? I can give you partial credit if you try. If you don't even try and you leave it blank, there is nothing I can do. Nothing. I can't justify giving you a point for that. They'll fire me. So at least guess. At least guess. And with true false, at least you got a 50-50 chance if you don't know it. So, but yeah, and not too different than the previous test. And 4 is gonna follow along the same way. Probably a little true false, some multiple choice. And the further we go along, y'all, the more coding will be on the exam. Like weekly, you're gonna notice the increase of the amount of codes they're gonna ask for on the exam. And I will let y'all know now that I have to manually go through all that. Unless it's multiple choice, I gotta go through and manually grade everything as far as coding. So just a heads up on that. All right, but if there's nothing else, you guys have a great weekend. Great weekend. Is it?
All right, Miss B, you too. I know I will.
Yes, Lord. If the Lord say the same.
Sure
That's
will.
right.
Bye,
Will.
y'all.
Bye. Bye.